Hello everyone, my name is Ryan. I'm a member of the Saber Legion, and today I want to reach out to our newer members or people who just want a refresher on gear. What I want to be talking about is an overview of the gears that is required for competing in the Saber Legion, as well as at your local meets at your charter. These are simply recommendations from me. They are not passed down from any official source in the Saber Legion. But this is what I like to use. Recommendations I have. Always make sure you consult your charter rep and the current TSL rules and requirements in regards to gear. So let's get started with the head. We'll work our way from there. First off, one of the big things about any competitive combat group is having proper head protection. We'll make sure our eyes are protected, our throat's protected, our ears are protected. There's a lot going on up here, so we want to make sure that's purposely protected. There are not too many options out there that fits into the TSL guidelines, and I want to go over a couple of those. First off, something that is basically universal across all of the Saber Legion, and that is a standard HEMA style fencing mask. What does that mean? It means it's a little bit tougher than your foil or epee mask. These are able to take much stronger hits without having the steel collapse. These have a 350 rated Newton bib, which means it's a bit thicker, it's a bit denser. It's going to take a little bit more just to get through that. Now, that's not adequate throat protection, but when we get to throat protection, we'll talk about it. But it's a good supplementation to help deflect strikes away from there. These come in not too many variable sizes. You usually have a small, medium, large. A couple other manufacturers have differences there, and essentially you can press them in. You can fold the tongue on the back, and there's an elastic band on the back to help hold it to your head. Very easy to take on and take off. Some fighters I know like to supplement with some sort of head wrap to kind of make it a little bit more secure. I personally like to use like a tenigui, which is basically a towel that we use in kendo, just to help keep that a little bit more secure in my head. But they're nice. They come in various price ranges, starting at $50, $60 usually, and they can go up to several $100 depending on kind of what features you're looking for. And you can look at different manufacturers out there. This one in particular is an absolute fencing mask. I also have a couple red dragons. I like them all. Some have removable liners inside, and which is another great feature to look for to make ease of cleaning much better. One that is constantly asked about if it's acceptable headgear is the kendo men. This here is my kendo men, and they're very nice helmets. This is a thick deer leather futon padding around the head with a titanium grill on the front. And then there's also a steel plate right here for the throat. Now, why is this not acceptable? The common misbelief is it's because the whole spacing in between the grill here is too wide and shrapnel could get in. While that is a possibility, it's incredibly unlikely. This here is very strong, and the odds of someone going through here, the odds of something shattering are extremely low. It does happen in kendo as we use bamboo and pieces can go in there. There is an additional plexiglass or polycarbonate plate that you can actually put in here to protect your eyes. I don't have that with that, but it is an option. The reason this is not an acceptable piece of headgear is actually because of the futon, this piece of leather right here. It all comes down to what this was designed to do versus what this was designed to do. This is designed to take strikes here, 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 and here. It will protect the face, anything coming this way, and any glancing blows will be pushed off there. They'll roll off the futon as well. This was not designed to take hits to the side, was not designed to take hits to the throat or on the sides of the throat. As you can see, it's actually open there. That this is designed with a particular strike in mind, which is a men strike and a tsuki strike. It will not protect the side of your head very well. In the early days of TSL, I did wear this a little bit, and there are photos out there. And I did take a couple strikes to the side of my head. And boy, does it make your ears ring and your head hurt, because this is just leather here. It's very flexible, and this sits flat, flush against the side of your head. So there's very, very, very little in terms of mitigation of energy going from that saber to your cranium. So that is why these are not acceptable. They also require a very specific way to tie them. If you're not comfortable with that and how to tie it, they can be flung off your head, and they're incredibly expensive compared to something like a fencing mask. They can range up. They can start around $160, but they can range up to $700 to even $1,000. So depending on how it fits you. So these, not recommended at all. It's not legal in TSL. This is. Get yourself a nice, good HEMA rated fencing mask. They're strong, durable, they'll last a good long time as long as you take care of it. Everyone uses it. It's been proven to work for what we do. There are a couple exceptions out there for headgear. They all more or less revolve around this design, though. I have seen others, and I apologize, I don't remember what they're called, but they do have a steel top to them. I know Tom Badillo uses one, but they all essentially are similar to this design. So especially if you're new, stick with this design. You're going to save yourself a lot of headache, no pun intended. It's a tried and proven concept, and that's what we recommend. Moving on down to the throat. We do require throat protection in the Saber Legion. This here is a soft, protected throat gorget. Just sits around your neck. A little Velcro strap holds it in place. Yeah, it's got a little bib right here, so glancing blows don't slide up into your throat underneath of the protection. This, coupled with the bib on the HEMA mask, makes a wonderful protection, both having pieces not being able to slide underneath this way, and this bib helps stuff not slide under that way. Wearing your chest guard over top of that even helps protect that even further. These are not allowed as them by themselves in a tournament setting. As a current rule set, this is not enough protection in the tournament setting for your throat. So a lot of people have switched to a metal gorget. This one is the Winter Tree Crafts one. It's very popular. This is metal, I believe it's steel. And that just, again, fits right around the neck like that. I personally find this to be a little large, so what I like to do, and it's comfy, I know others will do it as well, so I'll wear my Red Dragon underneath of my Winter Tree Craft. Gives me a little extra protection, more padding, it's a lot more comfortable, and it's just another way to add extra security there. You do not need this for tournament. You do need this for tournament, however. So keep that in mind when you're shopping. You don't need the Winter Tree Craft, however. It has to just be a metal gorget that has adequate throat protection. Moving down, let's look at the chest gear. Very popular right now, and I don't have one, but they're very much gaining popularity, are HEMA Gaminsons. They cover usually the whole torso, arms included, and many options have the opportunity to add hard plates to them, such as on the elbow, the forearm, the shoulders. Some even have the ability to add some to your chest as well. I have personally never used one, so I can't speak on their nature. I know that they do protect wonderfully. Again, tried and proven in the combat sport of HEMA. But I have heard they can get pretty hot. There are options out there for lighter weight ones, but they can get rather toasty. So keep that in mind. And they do absorb sweat pretty good too, so they can become a little heavy, but they offer amazing protection. They can be a little pricey as well, so always look out for deals for those. And members of our HEMA community could definitely help me out with giving links and their recommendations for which ones to buy and which ones to avoid. What is really good for newcomers and can be more on the affordable side is lacrosse and hockey gear. Hockey tends to be the first one that people like to get. Hockey gear, such as this one right here, this is a Easton Stealth. It can be a little bit bulkier, but it's cheap, affordable, protects a lot. You know, you have good padding all over the place. Usually these are really adjustable as everything's pretty soft on them, except for some hard plates here and here. They all attach with Velcro. And there's lots of first-hand and second-hand options available out there for this because hockey's a big sport. It can be a little bulky though. I personally like to use hockey pads when I do exotics, which our exotics division, if you're not familiar with, is anything larger or different than our standard sabers that you would usually see in reference to, let's say, Star Wars. It would be things like pikes, dual wielding, cross-guard sabers, more things in that nature. So I like to use these because they have a little extra padding. Some of those blows can be a little bit harder. What I like to use in my traveling kit and a little bit lighter weight is lacrosse pads. And this is a chest rig for lacrosse. This is the Maverick Roam RX3, I believe. This particular one is a little bit pricier, but what I really liked about it was it's smaller scale with good padding. It has a little additional arm padding as well. These tend to be much smaller than the bulkier hockey pads. They do offer less protection, but they still offer the protection in the areas we do need, such as the clavicle and the sternum, the shoulders, the back as well. That's something to keep in mind is where is it protecting? I should say there are a couple times you see lacrosse or motocross gear pop up, which motocross gear is all right. It does protect, but a lot of those jackets that they have a zipper that goes up the center, and that does not provide adequate sternum protection. Some of them also do not have proper clavicle protection because usually there's a neck piece that goes around when people are doing motocross. The buckles can also be a bit fragile. There are a lot of times they have buckles on them because that's not a sport where it's being hit with things constantly. That's designed to save a rider and when they go down hit the dirt. The buckles, though, after fighting those, can be a bit fragile and can shatter. And also, because there's hard plates all over the motocross jacket, it's going to fit different people differently. I know sometimes it can be a bit tight for some others. Where having something where you can add the plates onto makes it a little bit better for each fighter and their case, or their body, I should say. Moving on down the arms a bit, we have our elbows. Right here are some, lacrosse pads, but I also have hockey pads for elbows. You can see a big difference in size there. The hockey pads, they do offer really great protection, but they can be a bit bulky and slide down the arm a little bit. These little lacrosse pads still offer really good protection on the elbows. They can slide a bit, again, depends on how your arms are, but I think they're a little bit lighter and they do bend a little bit more. They do cost more usually though. But it's the same thing, lacrosse and hockey gear, you're going to find first-hand, second-hand stuff because it's national, it's international. We can find these things, maybe you had an old pair you used to play with, or maybe you still play with. So this gear is always available. Excuse me. Other options out there, HEMA manufacturers or manufacturers of HEMA gear do make elbow and forearm guards as well, and it's purpose built for this style of combat, for a full contact style of sport. So look into that. That gear can again be a little bit pricier, but If it's something that's going to be something you're going to wear for a long time and not have to buy pads every once in a while, it can save you money in the longer term. I have found that, especially with these lacrosse pads, they do tend to tear a little bit, and mine will have to be replaced probably within the year. Moving on down, forearm protection, although not essentially required, it is highly recommended that you have good forearm protection. Your forearms are usually going to be what's going to be one of the closest targets to your opponent, so having a good amount of protection both on the outside and the inside is going to be very beneficial for you. A lot of times people will couple elbow pads with a forearm guard. This gives me a little bit of forearm guard there. Plus something like a wrist guard sitting on there covers most of the arm. Things like a hockey pad are going to be a little bit longer, so they will cover a bit more. There are HEMA pads out there that offer wonderful protection, however, for the forearms. Some people have asked, do kendo kote work for it? Yes and no. The forearm section and the wrist section is actually quite wonderful. If you know how to receive a hit here, this is a wonderful piece to protect your forearm with. It has good coverage here. Not great here, but you don't get hit here very much. It's right here that people get hit a lot. So that does have a lot of good coverage. Problem with these I'll get to when we get to the glove part, though. So speaking of wrist protection, I know a lot of people, including myself, we like to use little wrist guards. These are made by Shock Doctor. They just pop over your wrist. It just adds a little extra protection right on the wrist there in case you get popped there. A little extra protection is always good. They're cheap. I think these are like $7-8. They machine washable. It's a great piece of kit to have. So moving on down, we go to the gloves. The main consensus tends to be lacrosse gloves. Lacrosse gloves are a little bit thinner, more maneuverable, more dexterous than opposed to hockey gloves, which can be a bit more bulky. And with bulky gear, that's a larger surface area for you to get hit. The hockey gloves are definitely going to protect you. There's no question there. But they do offer a larger surface area to be hit. Lacrosse gloves, such as these, you're going to notice a theme. All my lacrosse gear is Maverick. I really enjoy their product. Offer good dexterity with a smaller profile there. I strongly recommend give them supplemented with fingertip guards, however. I only run fingertip guards in my right glove. And essentially what they are is little plastic guards that sit on the top of your fingers. So that means that right here, which is a non-padded area, when that gets hit, you don't break your finger or cause incredible pain, because it can hurt. My personal recommendation on how to wear them, it all depends on how you hold your saber, how you fight. But I like to run my thumb with the guard on the top, my index finger with the guard on the side, because when I'm holding like this, the hit's going to come here. So it's on the side with a little protection here and here. These two fingers, the protection's on the top, and then my pinky, the guard's on the bottom. So if my finger were this hand sitting underneath my thumb, it would be on the top. The next finger would be here. The next finger would be here, here, and pinky would be protected like that, creating this barrier on all my fingertips on the outside and the most likely place they're going to get hit. So that's my recommendation there. Also, again, HEMA gloves out there. That there's many different types that both are very hard shell. There's ones that are like a mitten. There's lots of options out there for those. But again, those can be pretty expensive. Lacrosse and hockey gloves can be a lot cheaper. The things with gloves is they need to be fully padded. Things like the crude handy 3-0 gloves, not acceptable. Biker gloves, not acceptable because there's gaps in the fingers. There's going to be gaps on the back of the hand. These are meant to take hits with sticks. That's why we use them. Coming back to the kendo kote, the problem with these is going to be the fingers. These are meant to be hit here, and although I do think they're pretty adequate in protection for them, being hit on the fingers does suck with these, and you can't really get finger guards inside of them. There's better options for what we do than this in this style. And there are HEMA gloves out there that have the mitten style but have hard plates on them. These still do hurt a bit when you do get hit, although it's not terrible. It really isn't that bad. Areas like here, however, can be a little bit more sensitive. And because in the Saber Legion, this is an acceptable target, it's not in Kendo. Kendo, we're going to be hitting right here. It makes it not the most viable protection that you can use there. Case in point, these I believe are not allowed in TSL tournaments. They're also incredibly expensive for what you're getting. Save this for Kendo. Do something like this for TSL. Metal. This is another point. Metal. Our hilts are metal. They tear up gloves. You can see right there, a big hole in my glove here. You get metal on kote, these can be a fortune to repalm, and all the stitching and everything can get ripped up real easy. So this is going to be incredibly expensive to get replaced. Something like this, not too bad. So these are machine washable. I throw mine in the washing machine, and then I put them under a fan to dry. That's all I do. I don't throw them in the dryer, but it makes them so soft afterwards. Wonderful. Remember, this stuff is meant to be thrown, lacrosse and hockey gear, it's meant to be thrown in the washing machine. You know, put it on a gentle cycle, get all that dirt and grime out. It's good to go. All right, let's move up the arms and go downwards. Let's talk about protecting our important bits there. A cup. Incredibly important. You cannot fight without these. Accidents do happen, especially because we don't require any hip, lower torso, or thigh protection. Make sure that you get yourself a cup. I don't need to go into great detail about that. I hope we are all aware of why we need one of those. Torso protection. Speaking of that, there's nothing requiring in TSL that you have to have torso protection, but my gosh, does it hurt to get hit in the stomach. Stabs are not allowed, but they can happen. But slashes to the stomach is definitely a possibility. Same with the sides. So something I definitely recommend, if you don't have like a gambeson, which do have good protection on there, is the Kendo Do. It is wonderful. Protects there, protects here, protects here. This is not adequate protection for just it by itself as chest armor, because you do still need your shoulders and clavicle protected. But, these things are wonderful. I mean, they are meant to be hit down here. It just kind of, when they miss and hit up here, that really hurts. But this is a wonderful piece of kit, and they last a really long time. There are other options out there. There are some plates out there. Hold on, gotta get this to focus. There we go. There are some plates out there that you can wear underneath to give yourself a little extra padding here. There are some softer pads you can put around your chest. I believe lacrosse has some. I think there's some football ones as well. They don't take a hit very well. It's still going to sting. If there's force behind that, you want something more of a hard padding. Remember, it's not required to have that, but if you got some areas down here you want to protect a little bit more, I'd recommend getting something like a Kendo Do. Hips as well. We do not require any padding on the hips right now, but it is still something I really recommend. And what better than the Kendo Tare? So this is my personal one. This is just a big chunk of leather. It sits around your hips. It gives yourself a good amount of padding there. A little extra padding up front and the sides on the thighs. So this is a great piece of kit to have as well. Again, they last a long time, and they're easy to transport. They can be a little pricier. Nice thing with the does. Sorry, let's see if we can't focus again. Oh, come on, you. There we go. The nice thing with the do and the tade, they don't need to be exactly your size. So there's lots of options like outlets or clearance sales on websites that have them, or secondhand, because you don't have to worry too much about, let's say, a helmet that should fit your head very nice and snug, or gloves that should fit your fingers and give you good wrist movement as well. Moving on down, like thighs, like I said, the tade, knees, just like your elbows, they need to be protected. There are a couple options out there. One that a lot of people like to start off with are hockey pads. They get a good knee protection, good shin protection. Downside with them, they're bulky, and they can slide pretty good. These are meant to be usually tied into your skates so they don't move anywhere or taped up. People in the Saber Legion would fight barefoot, would fight with low profile shoes, and these can slide a bit. They are cheap though. You can get them 30, 40 bucks usually, so they're not bad at all. Again, they are kind of bulky, and they can slow you down a little bit. What's gaining popularity, and I was introduced to this by Daniel Lane back in early 2017, I want to say, 2016, were these Fox Racer shin guards. These are motocross, but I don't think I'll ever use anything else. They are wonderful. They're low profile. They have these snap fittings that snap into the sides. They protect your knee and your shin. They might be a little short for some people, so a little bit, if you want a little extra ankle protection, it's all right, but they run around 60, 70 bucks, but oh my gosh, they are, when you put them on, you don't even realize they're there, and they don't slide, and that's the great thing about them. They don't slide. There are also HEMA options out there, like with everything else. It's almost like they're another combat sport that do give you the full protection as well. So there are a lot of options out there for those. But this is one, everyone, I swear, who purchases these falls in love with them. So really recommend Fox Racer shin guards. Feet. We don't require anything in particular for your feet. This is where you gotta make your best judgment. How do you like to fight? Barefoot socks? Do you like to fight in shoes? I always recommend never fighting socks, especially when you're fighting on mats, because that's how you twist things, roll things, slide. Socks can be a no bueno situation. I personally like to fight barefoot, but for barefoot fighters, be mindful of what your floor is. Is it going to be concrete? Is it going to be springy and give you that give? You want to protect your ankles, your knees, your hips, your joints if you're going to be fighting barefoot. A lot of people seem to like wrestler shoes. I believe there's fencing shoes as well, and they have really good grip. They're low profile, they're lightweight. So those are definitely options I recommend, but there's a lot of stuff out there for that. Underneath padding is not required, but it's something I like to talk on. This here is something I like to wear underneath of my gear, and I recommend others do it as well. This is Shock Doctor. It's kind of like an Under Armour. It's called Shock Skin. It just has soft padding. These are pants, by the way. And they just sit on there and gives you a little extra padding in some areas, like the tush, where you might need a little extra ones. I have a jacket as well I like, and it gives a little extra protection on the triceps, the back, and the sides as well. Not required, but is something to think about. A lot of these compression pants, it's also, compression. A lot of these compression pads also have a little spot for your cup, which is nice to keep it nice and secure there. That kind of goes over the basis of armor. Always check with your local charter reps with the current TSL rule set, because armor rules change all the time. There's one more piece I want to talk about that I didn't talk about in the beginning, and looking down I just realized about it. Going back to helmets, back of the head protection. This is required at tournaments. Back of the head protection is incredibly important because, let me find my fencing mask real quick. There's nothing really on the back to protect your head. You got this piece here, but there's all this space on the back that is open. There's many options out there. Just make sure you get one that's going to be sized and fitted to your helmet that you're purchasing. You don't want to get one that's too large, so it's going to be sliding all over the place and it's going to fall off during match. You also don't want to have one that's going to be too small and it's not going to fit too well. So make sure you're looking at maybe even purchasing the same company. They might make this and their own head protection as well. There are some that don't provide lower head protection, and that's something you want to look in as well, making sure that your neck is your back of your neck is protected. Come on, you know you want to focus. There you go, as well. So that wraps it up. Again, these are suggestions that I have, and I hope that they help you out in your gear searching. Websites that you can find this information on would be, or websites you can find gear for would be like Lacrosse Monkey, Hockey Monkey, Space, or SPES, and I don't remember how to pronounce it, Purple Heart Armory. We have Neiman Fencing or Nyman Fencing. Amazon is great. There's lots of options out there. Also, check your local Played Against Sports. Check the TSL marketplace for people if they're selling their gear for options to get your gear. Well, I hope everyone had a good time enjoying this video. It was kind of fun to make. And if you want more videos like this, just let me know. Thank you very much. United through Sabers. Take care.